I believe we're good now. I believe we are. Let me double check, make sure. Yep, we're live on YouTube. So, Benny, we're going to actually do that one more time. So, we're going to let Johnny kick it off. We're going to come back to Benny. All right, everybody watching live, watching on the replay, we just want to thank you for tuning in to the Why Web3 Music Tech Media webinar. I'm here live with Johnny Stevenson, founder and co-founder, CEO of Crypto Loops, and also Invasive.media with some of his team. We also have Benny from Miami. You're going to hear more about him. And Benny helps Gary Vee buy the Jets. Picala, however he's going to give us the official enunciation of his name. But we just want to shout out Gary Vee. He's been helping pave the way into this Web3 space. So we're just grateful for everybody who's on this call right now. If you're in the audience, stick around. You got to be on the Zoom call to be able to join us for the meet and greet. So stick around. You never know who's going to get invited into the conversation. If you have some questions, you can share it in the chat. And we're going to kick it off. Johnny Stevenson, Crypto Loops. Just briefly tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll kick it on over to Benny.
Hey guys, thanks Brandon. Hey, so my name is Johnny Stevenson. I'm co-founder of Crypto Loops. Basically, we are in the music Web3 space. We are a blockchain audio loop platform and marketplace, mainly focusing on music and licensing and royalties through smart contracts, as well as having a transparent and kind of safe marketplace for musicians, starting at the production level and the atomic level of music production. So that's what we're working on right now. We got a lot of exciting things to talk about coming up, as along the lines of our NFT Access Pass and a lot of other cool, exciting things and events this year.
Awesome. We're going to kick it on over to Benny.
Hey, everybody. Benny Picala, founder of Birdwell Solutions, where we build apps, so mobile apps, web apps, D apps, NFT collections, blockchains, metaverse, head of development at Krypton Labs, which is an accelerator for early stage Web3 companies. So we connect pre-seed, seed, even Series A Web3 companies to advisors and investors. And I'm also the host of Miami Web3 Happy Hours. So we do some really great events right here in Miami. We're going to start to do some virtually, but for now, anybody in Miami would love to come connect you to the scene, help however I can, and have fun in the Web3 space. So awesome to be here.
Beautiful. Well, hey, we're going to work out some of the chat stuff also, so everybody can be able to participate in that. But the fact that we have Benny in the mix and we have Johnny as well. Benny, I want you to talk a little bit and really, kind of give you and Johnny an opportunity to just go back and forth and you kind of knowing what to look at in a company and where the music tech side is going. A couple of years ago, it was really the rising of the PFP. And then we've heard, music is coming. Music is coming. Also, we see our good friend Julio, CEO of Bricks in the mix also. So we're going to be bringing him up a little later as well. But we also see real estate's on the rise too, intellectual properties on the rise. So Benny, you've been taking an initiative as far as taking a little more of a focus into the music tech, and being that Crypto Loops is a great music tech Web3 company on the rise. So if you can just kind of set the tone, Benny, why Web3, what's happening in Miami, and go ahead and take us all on a journey with Johnny Stevenson from Crypto Loops.
Oh, I love to lead. All right, so probably helpful to give a little bit of like my Web3 story and how I got into Web3 to show kind of where I see so much opportunity and why I'm so focused on the Web3 music industry right now. So I'm a developer by training. So I've built a lot of websites, a lot of mobile apps, a lot of web apps. When I was just getting started as a developer, I actually worked with a lot of artists where I went to school up in Madison, Wisconsin, to help get set up online, to help kind of work with mostly small artists to sell their work, get it displayed, get an online presence. So I've always been interested in how can we manifest creativity online, and how can we create sustainable business and create value. So fast forward a few years, and I've got Birdwell Solutions, which is my development agency, and we've been building apps for a while, looking at the Web3 space. And we kind of had that aha moment where we realized, hey, we can build the same technology, the same companies, but do it with different technology in a way that is better, right? That creates a better end user experience, that creates better ownership, that enables a sustainable business, and from all of those things which create more creativity and more expression and more freedom. And so when I first dove into the Web3 space in late 2020, the space was still early. And I think we'll look back a decade from now and we'll say that right now it was still early. But certainly at the time, there was a lot of use cases in DeFi, so in decentralized finance. But I wasn't seeing a lot more. And so I was really excited when NFTs first came onto the scene because there was so much creativity. Although it was still true at that time that for a lot of other industries, and I'm talking like early 2021, it was still too early for Web3. A lot of customers, potential customers, just didn't quite understand it. I even saw some products that launched with ways to invest in artists and musicians using NFTs, but it just didn't resonate with people. And that was too bad because I knew that it was a great fit for the things that we'll probably touch on, but the ability for community, for digital ownership, for automatic payments, for encouraging collaboration. I saw so many use cases for Web3 that I thought would really inspire more creativity. But again, so coming back to early 2021, I felt still too early for a lot of musicians, a lot of artists to really launch to their followers and have people understand it and see the utility, see the ability for it to really provide something of value. So now, as I've seen over the summer, over the last few months, we've seen a lot of big name artists, a lot of celebrities, but we've seen Web3 gain a lot of adoption. So therein kind of enters the, all right, so within the Web3 technology, with the ability to use decentralized data storage, as well as have unique provable digital ownership and automatic payment mechanisms via smart contracts, it's like, all right, now's the time to really start paying attention, to start looking at what people are doing, how they're doing it, where there's adoption happening. And so that's where I've been really laser focused. And I'm so excited. I think we'll probably mention it later. We've got a panel coming up later in the month as well, where we're going to dive into more of the technology. We'll cover a lot of it probably today too, of just where this is changing and where we're seeing people be successful. So from a company perspective, what really excites me is providing a similar experience, but with different technology. I use similar because it's usually better, but providing a way to support your favorite artist, a way to listen to the newest tracks, a way to get exclusive merchandise. Really looking for companies that know what customers want and are able to deliver that in a new and novel way, but also at new structures of ownership and new monetization and incentive patterns. So, I mean, all of these things create, like foster creativity, but certainly when everybody's able to freely express themselves and feel like they own what they're putting out there and are able to engage, I really believe that creates a beautiful, beautiful output. So seeing places where people are reimagining, what does it look like to collaborate? What does it look like to share with others? What does it look like to create community? So those are probably the big two categories. Of course, I think I could talk for hours about this. That's probably why we're here. But all right, I'll even kind of pass because I know, Johnny, with everything you guys are doing, I think you're a fantastic example of several of those things. So I'd love to hear, and we'll just kind of keep the conversation. Like, what's your story? How did you get started with Crypto Loops?
Yeah, so nice to meet you, Benny, here officially. So I guess my first me first hearing about NFTs and how blockchain technology would get into the music industry was about in 2018. There used to be a seminar called MIDIM in Cannes, France, and they started doing it more digitally during like 2018, 19. I think COVID, they went full digital. They actually are no more, but there was a lot of panel discussions on music technology and the next revolutionized technology that would come out, and blockchain was one of them. Didn't see anything happen. 2018, it boomed. Blockchain became more popular. Bored Apes came out. All the NFT stuff started really getting into the mainstream of not music, but mainly in the PFP space. And one quote I remember, I can't remember the name from the guy that spoke on the panel in 2018, and it stuck with me till now in the music industry. It says, the music industry has evolved from creation to selling to monetizing and showcasing your music, even recording and the technology of recording. But in the last 200 years, we're still using PDF files, and we're still using the same technology to send music, to verify music, to ledger music. And to me, being in the music industry for how long I've been, and all the problems I've dealt with, from marketing to management to being an artist myself and producer with all the other people we work with, was now we're at a time where this can actually be somewhat brought up in this space, and we can do this with Web3 technology. And where I came, at first I got into NFTs, and I wasn't really big into the PFP aspect of it. I loved art. I like I'm not a collector, but I like the idea of it and I appreciate it. But to me, I didn't understand it until I really dove into blockchain and what the technology of it could do. And I was like, okay, right off the bat, we can change the way we do contracts and Q sheets. These can be ledgered, verifiable documents that we don't have to really, we will spend tens of $20,000s of dollars on hiring lawyers, hiring managers to look at contracts, because now we can have it in our wallet. And there's no more of this argument. There's no more of wasting all this money as not only independent artists, but as major labels. Like a lot of these major labels I've talked to in the last few years, they are scared of the adoption, but they have to. It's going to inevitable. But when it comes to things like this, where they can adopt without changing their standard way of doing music and streaming, that won't change forever. But it's still, we're getting to knocking down those doors in music, in the mainstream and up and coming music industry, for these artists to actually be able to not only own their ownership, but to be able to showcase it publicly, give back to the community, and give funding for your projects, crowdfunding for your community. There's so much. And then when we get into the technical side, like I'm sure Benny can nerd out on, is when I started learning the coding and with our dev and people I've worked with on what we could do. We can start hashing music from studio conception. Like there's no more sending PDF files and music. Like I want people to think about, PDF files, MP3s and waves. Like when people realize we're about to make the biggest shift into music technology with changing and hashing music, because music is all numbers and data. When you leave the studio, you put it on the MP3, those are just numbers. Now we add a hash. You say you use a loop, a vocal, an audio sample, and it goes viral, on all social media, and there's AI to track that. We don't have to worry about any ownership getting ripped or stolen. We can make sure these payouts are automatic. Soon it goes to Spotify, soon it goes to social media. We're so advanced in the music technology industry that people aren't realizing. They're so focused on these big keywords of NFTs and crypto, and they're not like, what do those do to make those things happen? That's the biggest thing I want people to realize, is like, stop worrying about the hype words, look at the technology. Like I work in the alcohol industry for the last 8 years, and wait till we bring the blockchain technology on verified alcohol, authentic collections on secondary market alcohol bottles, and so on and so forth. We're so far changing. I can go on and on like Benny on everything we were talking about. But I'd love to get back to Brandon, and we could keep continuing on if there's any questions or anything else.
This is awesome. When you're talking about the smart contracts, a lot of people still think that NFTs is just a JPEG. And we invited Andrew Schiffman. He's been part of the music industry for a long time, but he's also worked with some major Web3 companies and business development, from NFT ticketing to just NFTs across the board. So Andrew, just want to invite you to, link up here with Johnny and Benny and kind of put in just where you're seeing things go with music NFTs.
Hey, Ben. How are you? What's going on? Benny, good to meet you, man. Very impressive. Johnny, how you doing? I think we're connected already, man. Yeah, I was at been consulting at rally.io, been looking at those guys since late 2020, social, token platform, and then consulting at Yellowheart. So really learning about NFT ticketing, fan engagement, and utility beyond, entrance to a concert. So I've really been, deep into fan engagement and how, fans can connect with their artists using this tech. I've been involved in fan engagement pretty much for 20 years. I was at MTV for 12 years. Really building campaigns for major label artists for over a decade. And, we have similar techniques. I'll take that from you, Benny. But it's better, right? Like we're not reinventing marketing. We're not reinventing most of our creativity. We're just using better technology. And yeah, I don't want to go on too much, but excited to be here, man, and looking forward to connecting after this.
Beautiful.
And thanks, Brandon.
Hey, absolutely. Andrew's been a long time friend. Well, it feels like it's only been a couple of years, but that's like a long time in Web3.
Long time in this space.
Yeah. So also, we have a legend on the call too. We love just kind of surprising people. And, Roy, Future Man Wooten, also known as one of the main people part of Bella Fleck and the Flecktones, grassroots legends, him and his brothers, the Wooten family. Roy recently participated in a panel with the Arts and Business Council here in Nashville with the Arts and Business Council of Greater Nashville. He rocked the stage and is igniting people into the Web3 space just by his own curiosity, just by his own, he's a professional in his craft, but he is childlike in his approach and curiosity to the space. And that's what makes him kind of one of those rising tide people that we're looking to for the future. So Roy, Future Man, we know you are currently at the City Winery at one of the venues supporting one of the legends. So just want to give you an opportunity to meet Benny, Johnny, some of the crew, and just give some of your take on what's happening.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. I'm at a show with my drum hero, drum legend, Billy Cobb. I just spent sound check with him, and it's really cool. And I shot some interview footage with him that I want an NFT. I want to make an NFT out of what I just shot with him, okay? Because it connects with some other stuff. But as an artist, I just want to say that it's really exciting to see art leading the way the art led the way during the Renaissance. I had a student say that this has happened before in history, where art was leading the way, where all the Medici and all the rich people were pouring money into artists to lead civilization. It seems as though here we are again, where art is at the forefront of getting people interested in crypto, getting people interested in going into the metaverse. We're going to be seeing the VMAs, the Video Music Awards and stuff. They've got a category now for best metaverse artists, best Web3 artists, because they're going to be going into the different super worlds, metaverse worlds, to create more. Anyway, their viewership is down. It's kind of like the old way is going down, and there's a new surge coming up. So me as an artist, like I was just on a panel the other day, I said, yeah, man, they're going to introduce me as a legend, but what people don't know is I'm coming at this with the mind of a child. It's so new. I'm just coming with the mind of a child and just seeing all the opportunities for all of this content that I have. I have a lot of content. There's a lot of love that goes behind doing what it is to create instruments, backstage stories and events. I got stories from Billy Cobham today. I spent sound check with him. He said, man, when you gonna sit out there, man? Come up here, sit on stage, man. I'm sitting behind my drum hero, man. So I got some footage from that, footage from interviews and stuff. And now I feel like I know how to treat it as treasures. You know what I mean? Like if you are one of a certain amount of people that want to have a close look behind the curtain, we can do that. So this show is going to start at 7:30. So I was just glad that I could come in on here and just kind of participate. But I want to thank you I heard the last talk, and I'm just all ears until the music starts here. I'm all ears here. And Brandon, I got to show you what I shot here today, man. It's the NFT implication of everything. And I do have to say, I have to give a big thanks to Gary Vaynerchuk, because he is so geeked out on NFTs. And I noticed his track record. When he calls something, it usually happens. You know, like for a long time, he was calling Vine. He was like, Vine is getting ready to crush Instagram and everything. And then TikTok merged with Vine. So it's like, yeah, there it is. He called it, and there it is again. So I just have to say, there's a Marketing for the Now episode that Gary Vaynerchuk does, and it's his Marketing for the Now episode 22. And that's what helped him to make my mind even more childlike. Hearing them talk about the NFTification of everything. And it's just about your imagination. So I'm just looking to make a big impact, man. I'm working with Brandon. He's introduced me to everybody. I'm inventing a brand new instrument, and I feel like I'm just going to unleash on the world in this kind of way. You know what I mean? With tokens, with very valuable tokens. When I release these tokens, man, I've been working on this instrument since through all of the Blacktones records, before I met the Blacktones. And now I got this instrument that's done, where I'm giving it concert to the melody. So people will know I'm not going to rug pull. I'm not getting ready to disappear because I've been here too long, you know? And so it's like a start all over time, man. It's really beautiful to think. Here, okay, let me just say this, and then I'll leave the mic. I just heard my brother Vic say this the other day. He said, yeah, man, we make CDs, but nobody buys CDs. Nobody buys music anymore. And it's like, maybe we can show there is a way, you know, where people are happy to pay even more for these little limited tokens and treasures that we release. For our content, people are willing to. We just have to get in line with the times. That's all. So that's me, Future Man. I'm complete. I'm gonna drop the mic with that. If anybody has any questions, Brandon, anything I left out, just let me know. Wow, I don't hear you right now.
Yep. Thank you. Hey, so you know, just want to thank you, Roy, Future Man, Wooten, part of the notorious Wooten family. Which each of those guys, the amazing thing about the Wooten family is each of these people are 100% gifted, stand alone, and hold their own. But they represent not only in Nashville, but to the music world, to the world as a whole. They are that musicians group. And their contributions to Bella Fleck and the Flecktone and so many other musicians across the planet is absolutely something that we are going to treasure as a music or as music lovers or just as people walking on this planet and in purpose. So we just want to honor you, what you're doing in this space, and just the way you honor the legends that inspired you. We know that we are coming into a time where I loved it how he put it about your treasure, you know, where we can take our treasure. And also you get to bank on your community. So if you built a healthy community, then you're going to do all right in that space.
Yeah, and I want to say one more thing I just learned from Billy. I said, Billy, can you drop some wisdom? Man, this dude is a living legend, right? So I'm just like, can you drop some wisdom? And he said, one thing he said is something like, you don't have to ask permission. He said, just you show them and then tell them, right? Like I can go out here and say, oh, musicians, look, you can make a living this way. You can do that. He said, show them and then tell them, right? Show them what you're going to do it, and then tell them. So I'm ready to shake up the world like Muhammad Ali, man. You know, I'm ready to shake up the world. I'm just like, what would Muhammad Ali do now with NFTs? Man, he'd be boxing in the metaverse. You know what I mean? This fight wouldn't just be in the arena. He'd be in Super World. He'd be in Decentraland. He'd be in all of them. You know what I mean? So we want to have fun like that. So that's my thing. I always said, what would Muhammad Ali do? But Billy Cobb just told me, he said, you don't have to ask permission, man. Just show them and then tell them about it later. All right, let's do this. All right, thanks, guys.
Beautiful, appreciate it, Roy.
Yeah.
Awesome. And if you guys didn't already get a chance to see that link in the chat, Roy's participating in, and some others like Claudia 1 Million, Benny, Johnny, we're all participating in a 10-week accelerator more than a mastermind, grow yourself, grow your community, going through John Maxwell's 15 invaluable laws of growth. Johnny, man, and we know we're going to have Benny this week. We're scheduled. And Johnny, I want you to just kind of share a little bit about why you're choosing one why you believe that working on yourself to grow your community, and why you're participating in a more than a mastermind kind of series. Like, why does that appeal to you, and what was your kind of like thoughts from going through the first session?
Yeah, definitely. I'll give you a little brief like intro on like when I started diving into NFTs more, and then I'll bring it back to why I'm here today. First, I was on Clubhouse a lot during the NFT days. We were running a lot of music rooms during NFT tips, just talking about the future of music technology and what we can do with this. That at the time I was just building out the conception of crypto loops probably last year, and we are just working hard on community building at the time. And then I realized we need to really work hard on the development of the back end, and also just developing what we're trying to do as our mission, and like, build a transparent. We don't want people to think we're just in it for a quick grab in the music industry. We want people to, we're going to come to you and show you what we want to do and showcase to you in person, if not here today, like we're doing now. And then I took a step back and was like, I need to meet more people in IRL. And we started doing events. We went to NFT Miami, we went to Metaverse Expo in Vegas, we went to a lot of these events in the last 2 years, and did all our networking and connections. And then I came back to where we're at today and started thinking more about community building and building these relationships with other music tech companies and other people that are just getting into Web3 and music and Web3 in general, and just wanted to onboard people. And now we're finally rolling out an NFT access pass to what we want to bring to the music community. And now I kind of feel like it's prominent to start building the community, and what better way I could do it with Brandon offering what we're doing now in this incubator, and not only for equal and people that are doing music technology, but more for people, artists as well. Like, that's the whole thing, and that's the whole reason why we're here, as the producers, the artists, and the creators of music. I just want to be able to help in any way I can, and the only way I know how to is what I'm learning how to fix this music industry with what we're doing in NFTs and crypto and blockchain technology and everything in Web3 as itself.
And Benny, kind of share a little bit about the community, what's happening with the Miami Web3 happy hour, and the collaborations. What's it like? Why, for some of our Nashville friends and family, also, why is it important? Because people say, how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time. But you might be able to eat that elephant a little quicker if you eat it with your friends. So what is it like? Share a little bit about that. What's happening with the IRL? Why the proximity in Miami is so important?
Yeah. Miami has had a bit of its own renaissance with people from all over the country that might have been displaced in the pandemic, but for whatever reason, flocked to Miami for its tech scene. And it's created a beautiful meeting place for not only people that live in Miami, but also for people to come visit at conferences, to visit during big events happening in Miami. So yeah, so what we're doing is starting with happy hours. Very simple, right? Come to this bar at this time. You don't need a drink. You don't need a dance, although I recommend it. But just to meet people, right? Just to have that ability to meet people face to face, build a relationship, because we can only go so far alone, right? And they say it's not about what you know, it's who you know. I think it's a combination of the two, but the only way to increase who you know, and by doing that, increase your ability to impact change, is to get out there and make friends, to get out there and run into people and see them again and see them again. And before you know it, you're asking about what they did over the weekend. And at the Miami Web3 happy hours, and also some of the other events that we're starting to host, we're bringing people together, bringing investors and developers and founders and people that are just curious about the space, that might be involved in tech or might have a business, or maybe they're just, hey, they saw the Eventbrite and they're like, this sounds interesting. It's really cool. We've even had at our last event, we had somebody come down from, they drove 5 hours to make it to the event, which is incredibly amazing because yes, we're lucky in Miami that we've got people coming in from all over the world, but really anywhere that you are. And that's why we're so happy to be a part of these virtual events and meet up and come to Nashville when we can, right? And be able to connect in person, but to come together like we are right now and get to know each other. To me, it's why I do what I do. I love it, but also being able to see the friendships that are made, the businesses that are formed, the connections that are made. It really does take things from that level of what we can do in our basement by ourselves to what we can do when we've got 30 people that all have a shared mission, beating the drum.
We have some friends that are also trying to figure out fashion, and we'll be talking with some of them in the meet and greet as well, where they could ask some Q&A. But, we see fashion, art, music, or finance, art, music, movies, whatever you want to put that. But we see that collaboration happening. Like we talked about before, we see music's on the rise, media's on the rise, real estate is definitely on the rise in this space. How does somebody go about getting started in this whole Web3 world? What's some good first steps, guys?
Yeah. You want to go ahead, Johnny?
Yeah, I'll go quick. So for me, it was the education on all these keywords, like just learning the definitions, simple terms like blockchain, NFTs, and everything else that goes along the lines of Web3. Those like 25 key Web3 terms, learn the definitions, and then expanding from there and listening to more of these discussions like this, because find a niche as well that you fit into, that you can understand, because that's what was hard for me. Once I connected music dots, I was like, okay, it's over. I understand completely now.
Yeah, I think education is huge. I know, and maybe I'll even find it when I'm not talking here. There was a YouTube channel that a friend of mine recommended to me, and a Whiteboard Crypto is what it's called, that I just like watched for like 20 hours and it made a huge difference. And joining communities, right? Coming to events like this, coming to the mastermind, jumping into Discord groups, right? And just being where people are talking about these things, making friends in the space. I also think as far as like, yeah, if you're someone that's like, hey, I want to do something in this space, right? I want to launch a project. I want to build a company. The same rule applies, right? Where you definitely want to really learn what you're doing. You want to read so many articles about NFT drops that they start to look all the same. But then find collaborators, right? Find people that have the skills that you don't, right? If you're a developer, find a project that you really believe in, that you can sit down and develop with. If you're an artist, find a developer, right? But find other people that connect with you, that might be further along in their Web3 journey, where they have the experience of having launched, or even that are just getting started too. Of course, you always want to talk with experts to make sure you get your security down right and that you do everything correctly and with industry best practices, but go out there and meet people. And if you want to launch a project or launch a company, you can. One of the wonderful things about Web3 is that people are very welcoming. People generally will help. If you go into a group and say, hey, I'm brand new here, but I really want to learn about how I could do something like this, I really want to learn how I could launch my own project, people will generally sit down and talk with you. So that's my recommendation for anybody that's new to the space, looking to just get involved or launch a project, launch a company, is the door is wide open. Come in and say hi and ask for help and be yourself and find others that connect with you. And I think it's a wonderful place, and that you'll find a lot of friends.
Yeah, I think one thing Benny said that like is really different, and I've talked about this with a lot of people. I even talked about it with my girlfriend, is like the old way we do business was gatekeeping on all the ways of success. And then Web3, it's so transparent. People will give you everything. They'll give you their CEO just to talk to. They'll give you investors. They'll give you any, and this is not for everybody, but this is the majority of the push of this space, is if I can help you and it doesn't do anything negative to me and it can benefit you, then by all means, I'll do whatever I can to help you.
I see that question too that Benny put in the chat. As far as Benny, can you kind of touch in on that a little bit? That question went with the digital utility.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear from Johnny about the utility that he sees for artists. So to set the context for the question. So when NFTs first emerged, well, I guess they emerged before this, but when they first became popular, there's a lot of projects that were selling really great artwork, and artwork is fantastic. But like if you think of like a Bored Ape, there's more that can be done. And so the current generation, right, as NFTs continue to evolve, I see the projects that I get the most excited about are delivering to the NFT holders, people that buy the NFTs, utility. So things that they can use on a daily basis, an ability to access special experiences, to access VIP area. So as that, I mean, and we'll see as NFTs continue to evolve, but I'd be curious to hear from Johnny, like, what do you see as some of the utility that an artist can offer their audience or whoever they might be selling to?
Definitely. So from the PFP beginning of things, obviously number one thing is art. Why do we love music so much? Because we love the artists, we love the art they create. That's obviously the one thing that people really collect and really dive into what we're doing in the space is the art. But that can only go so far. Think back to days when we bought CDs. Like you did buy a CD, but then you followed their tour, then you go to the shows. There's just so much more that can come from the art. The biggest thing I think utility is the problem with a lot of people that kind of get confused on is like, how can I provide something so tangible so fast? But if you think about community building, is you definitely have to give some utility after you do a release. I think. I mean, everybody's different. It could be IRL. It could be any type of utility, physical or not, digital, anything that can just provide some sort of like, wow, this person or this creator or this musician cares about their community. The biggest thing I think people should take from the music industry in Web3 is the real-time attribution that is the utility can be provided for artists and in producers. People don't understand how much that is going to change everything is the real-time attribution because of this community. Even if it's a smaller community, even if it's 1,000 to 2,000 to 5,000 people community, there's always some sort of real-time attribution that these businesses, these projects, these musicians, anybody in the space could provide. And I think that can go a long way along with these events and these IRL, like from Web3 events to music events to giveaways to so much you can do in the music Web3 space. And that's just like a part of, I think, what I love the best, the real-time attribution and kind of just the endless things you can give, merch, anything. There's just so much, and your time is probably the biggest thing you can give to your community. Just a friendly conversation with the community and one-on-ones. I mean, you'll be surprised of how far marketing can go with word of mouth, and people have passion in your projects and what you do.
If Andrew can chime in a little bit too, Andrew, if you're able to, can you kind of build on that a little bit?
Back up about 20 seconds. I was just running outside to I had to fix something in my jacuzzi.
Hey, no worries. That's so. I know we started in the Clubhouse days where you didn't even have to worry.
Yeah.
But we were just talking about the utilities. You've worked with multiple artists as far as like you kind of know what works, what's gonna work, what's currently working. As far as utility that artists, how does that look like? Benny, maybe if you can kind of set it up a little bit too. I think you do an amazing job with that.
Yeah, I think we all agree that art is incredibly important. I mean, that's why we're here. That's what we're celebrating. But looking at NFTs specifically, we can look at Bored Apes that were kind of just a JPEG and think, well, there's so much more that we could do. There's so much more that you could offer someone that owns that JPEG. So I'm curious, and yeah, so Johnny had some great examples with digital collectibles, with access to meeting the artist. what types of utilities, so like real tangible things, tangible experiences, do you think an artist can offer people that they're selling their NFT to?
Yeah. So, when I was at Yellowheart, even when we gave free community tokens, we were like, okay, there needs to be at least two pieces of utility to incentivize someone from getting into Web3 space, downloading a new app or a wallet, or signing up for something. So, even if it was a free music track, maybe give the a signed lyric sheet or a never before seen photo, or a demo version, which actually is not very valuable on Spotify, but for someone to own as part of an NFT, that's really, really valuable for that fan. So I think, just think about two pieces of utility minimum that should accompany any music track. I come into this space trying to make music valuable again. And unfortunately, I've tried to, get behind a handful of music drops, and it's tough, even if they're really cheap or even if they're free, you just have to incentivize fans to go that extra step to, seamlessly get into this space. So, some of those easy examples, but, for those of us who were buying CDs, as Johnny said, I was excited to get photos and lyrics and stuff like that. So it's really just making that stuff available for the super fan. And then, yes, you can go above and beyond, tying it into touring, discounts on, tickets, early access, the white label, for, the whitelist for any future NFT drops, early access, whoever gets this NFT could be put in for a raffle for something in the future. But I always said to artists, don't overpromise and underdeliver. So if you want to give some utility, really try and uphold that. I've been part of drops where they've promised a Zoom meet and greet or a studio performance, and they haven't happened because the artist just gets busy, and that's not a good look for them. Looks bad on me, and the fans get pissed off too. So just try and think about things that you can uphold. The major labels is even harder because they're promising stuff to every other platform, to Spotify, to radio stations, tours, and all that stuff. So it's tough trying to think about what could else be carved out for the NFT drop.
Oh, yeah, I think we're getting ready to transfer over to the meet and greet side. But as you can see, there's new faces, more faces. We like to kind of stack the deck as we get closer to the media, to the meet and greet and Q&A. So just want to give an opportunity. I saw in the chat, as far as addressing the metaverse side of things. And I thought, well, this is good for Julio to be in the mix because he's physically addressing the fractionalization of real estate in real life. And then I know a lot of these companies are coming to him saying, what are you going to do about the metaverse? What are you going to do about the metaverse? So me and Julio also, I think we saw each other, 3 times in 5 days a little while back. And one of I think the nail in the deal that we need to figure out, and keep going with our friendship was at Benny and the team, Krypton Labs, and that awesome collaboration for the Miami Web3 Happy Hour. So we are working byproduct of those kind of events. So Benny, why don't you set it up for and then we'll close out on some metaverse talk, and then we'll go right into the meet and greet.
Yeah, the metaverse, maybe a term many have heard, but yeah, to define it, the AR and VR, so augmented reality and virtual reality, as well as the ability to create 3D spaces, and even this, where we're all talking with each other virtually, have kind of opened up a brand new way for us to imagine, hey, what does it look like for us to have an incredible experience online? What does it look like? So the term metaverse, when I think of it, is really all of these virtual experiences, all of these places that we would go to interact with people online, to buy things online. And yeah, a lot of the times it looks like some 3D world like Roblox or something where you could move around, and there's a lot of gaming aspects. But also companies are building out buildings and concert spaces and places for people to take business meetings. So I'm curious to hear from everyone that knows the music side of that and what musicians are, how musicians are strategizing, what you think music will look like within that digital environment, the metaverse.
I got one for you, Benny. I want to bring back quick on utility as far as tech businesses. One good thing we're doing with our business and Crypto Loops is we teamed up with a music tech company called Dawn Audio. Basically, they figured out a technology to bridge all DAWs to be able to collaborate anywhere in the world. From, say you have all the plugins on Pro Tools and he's making beats on Fruity Loops. Well, there's no more of this tracking out stems. We can now live action edit on any different DAW we use. So with that being said, Crypto Loops is one of the first ever in the music, blockchain, and Web3 technology to ever offer this new tech experience in the metaverse eventually. I'll explain more about Dawn Audio another time. They're one of our partners and collaborators. But with them being that seamless, creating music from DAW to DAW anywhere in the world, we take that to the metaverse with Crypto Loops. And now you can make music in the metaverse and leave that studio session in the metaverse blockchained, music all backed, music all hashed. We're coming to a place where now we have a lot of big writing camps in Miami, all over the world. And one of the big problems is getting certain producers. You know how much it costs money to fly them out, to have them stay. We're going to save a lot of money with that, but they're still going to be in that studio session live. The contracts are still going to be able to be done live. You know, the smart contracts are going to change a lot of things with that metaverse experience as well. I think we're coming to a new fun way to make music and create music without being scared. I know VR and a lot of the mainstream and normal music industry is like slowly transitioning to this metaverse and also Web3. But when you give them an experience like that, like shows and studio sessions and writing camps, you don't really have to be there live, but if you're missing out, you can still engage and you can still be there. And that's just one example that we want to bring to the metaverse with what we're doing in the new music tech.
Beautiful. Anybody? I also see we have brought William T. Broussard up into the mix. So right before we transition to the official meet and greet with Nathan Coy and some of the rest of the team and people in the audience here. Just want to give anybody just chime in on that, including Julio too, because Julio's around a lot of musicians and people like that real estate, the musicians and the artists, they want to be in real estate, and a lot of real estate people, they want to utilize the influence and the relationships to be able to move properties. So whoever wants to pop in first before we go take it off the air and behind the scenes.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, like you guys know, I'm the founder and the CEO of Bricks. And when I start, I'm a mathematician by trade. That's what I've done my whole entire life. I'm, very well versed when it comes to math. And when I started my company, I was getting a lot of the real estate people that were very involved in my company. But there's a lot of people that are not real estate that are also involved in real estate. And that happens to be a lot of musicians, So I was able to have the opportunity to meet a lot of famous musicians and producers. I mean, in the last month alone, I met Scott Storch, which everybody knows who that is. He's here from Miami. I'm from Miami. And Scott Storch is a big name. I also met Jada Kiss. And I've been meeting a lot of musicians, and I talk to them all the time about, I know you're a musician. I know you're an artist. I understand you have investments, because a lot of them, they'll tell you, we invest in real estate, what that they make, they invest in other things, right? So let me give you guys a quick rundown of how these musicians that are like big time, how they're seeing what's going on. This is the way they're seeing it. Going back to what Benny and Johnny were saying, yes, back in the days, it was all about the CDs, the hits, the singles, right? That's how they were making their money. That's how they were getting out there. Then they would collaborate with DJs, right? I don't know if you guys remember like DJ Clue and all these other DJs, and they would collaborate with these DJs because these DJs would have different artists on their tracks. And then of course down here in Miami, it's DJ Khaled and other, which I also met DJ Khaled, which is crazy. I'm meeting all these people in the last year. They're calling me. That's insane, right? So, you know, I would never get a chance to meet any of these people, right? So now, then what happened is, and I'll tell you what really changed the game, and I hope you guys understand this. Napster changed the game for music, right? But it really hurt artists, because what happened was people loved Napster, right? When people were getting involved, like, wow, I could download this MP3 file for free. I don't even have to buy the CD anymore, right? But then artists took a big hit on that, because now they were not selling their music with their record labels or their producers or through Napster and through different things, right? So even though Napster propelled the industry, it was not good for them, right? And I've talked to like Scott Storch about that quite a bit about it. And I also talked to Scott Hirsch, if you guys know who he is, and some other people that are producers in this industry. So after Napster and everything like that, then they decided, okay, let's get into a way where we could sell our music, right? And we could get paid for it while people are not pirating our music, right? Does that make sense what I'm saying to everybody? So it was very difficult for these artists to get into that, but then they would start doing things with like Apple Music or Amazon Music or even Pandora or all the, which is all Web 2, and it's great. It's great. And they were getting money. They were making money. Right? So one of the pioneers in Miami for Web3, which everybody should know this, is actually Pitbull, right? And one of his younger artists, which is Garcia, I met both Pitbull and Garcia. Garcia had a song from the 90s that didn't gain a lot of traction. I think he only sold like 100,000 and that's it. It didn't gain a lot of traction. But when he put it in an NFT, he actually went gold with that song, which is crazy because that song is super old. It's from the 90s. So that's the difference. Another thing about this that's really happening, like Johnny was saying about the utility, is, you know, you got to look at the math about it. Right now in the music industry, what we're talking about, what we're specifically talking about, it's under 1% saturation, right? And that's very important. So we have these pioneers, like everybody on this call, that is trying to get out there and saturate the industry so that when enough people hear about it, it takes on a life of its own. When that starts to happen, it usually happens around 2 to 3%. Once 2 to 3% of the population know about this, are involved with this, word of mouth, get it out there, talk to their people. Hey, have you heard about this song? Oh, you could get it on this NFT. What's an NFT? Oh, do you have a Kraken account? Do you have a Discord account? Do you have a Clubhouse account? You know, however they could get to it, it doesn't matter, right? When 2 to 3% of the population hear about this, the winners are going to be the people like us that are pioneering this, that are really going to rise. And when that rise happens, it's going to change the game in 3 forms, right? The first form is the artists that are very big time, like Drake, like all these big artists, they're going to be like, okay, I need to get involved, because then they're going to lose revenue. If they don't get involved, they're not going to make money, right? They're not going to make as much money. A few of these artists getting involved, like Jadakiss right now that he's involved, he's telling all his friends, and he's got a lot of friends, right? So he's telling all his friends that are famous that if we hear a song in the radio, we will know who this is. That's how they get involved. The second part is the population, right? When they start getting involved, they're like, wow, this is incredible. I could actually look at them while they're making the song, the remakes, the takes. They fucked up. I'm sorry, no bad words. They messed up. They did it again. That's the population really wants to see that. I was actually very lucky enough to see a video of Eminem when he was actually making one of his songs. And Eminem is a really good artist, which he works from like 9 to 5. He actually stopped the song at 5 and said, I'll be back the next day, and continue the song. People want to see that. People want to see what's going on in that art studio and what's going on with these artists. And then the third thing, other than the artists and the population, is now the industry itself, the record producers. They're the ones that really hold the key to this. Because when they start realizing, okay, I got the artist, I got the population that's getting involved, I need to now, like always, make money off of this by getting these artists to come up. I see Johnny laughing. By getting these artists to come up, that's when they get involved, and then they really go big through their big record labels. And we can name 50 of them, right? They're really big record labels, and then that's going to help saturate the music industry in the NFT, in the Web3, and in the metaverse. There's a few problems, obviously, right? We gotta be realistic. With the metaverse right now, there's over 18,000 metaverses, right? So we know Decentraland and we know those, but I mean, really? But then you look at like Mossverse, or you look at all these other big metaverses that are coming out, and they're nervous. They're nervous to get involved in some of these metaverses because we don't know which metaverses are going to be lasting in the next 6 months, the next year, which ones are going to be taken out, which ones are going to still be alive, which ones are going to grow. Right now, metaverses that are growing are actually gobbling up all the other little metaverses through acquisitions and mergers. So they want to get to the top 10, but there's so many. I'll give you a quick example of that so you guys understand me better. In 1912, there was a lot of car companies in the United States. There was over 28,000 car companies in the United States. Right now, 100 years later, right, we could probably only name 10, right? Maybe Ford, right? GM, right? Maybe we can name, Chevrolet. We can only name about 10. And that's what's going on with the metaverse. But the good thing is that time-wise, it's reducing. It's not going to take us 30, 40 years to get to those top 10. It's going to take us the next 5 to 7 years to get to that. So the artists, and I'm telling you, speaking to these artists, there's 2 ways to get them involved in your metaverse. Pay them a lot of money to get involved, right? Or they wait to see which ones are the ones that are emerging that they could put on a concert, and they could say, hey, if I'm going to do a live concert in your metaverse, I want 10,000 attendees. And out of those 10,000 attendees, I want to get paid, right? They can never fill certain stadiums with 50,000, 100,000. But if you have a metaverse now that could fill out a 250,000 stadium in the verse, and they get paid, that makes more money than all their 1 year's concerts, right? The concert, they put 20,000 here, 30,000 here. They got a Radio City Hall. They got to go to New York. They got to go to Nashville, right? They got to go to all these places to get 250,000. Imagine just doing one show and getting that through the metaverse. So that's what's really going on. And, speaking to these people and getting to know them in an investment level, in a financial level, because that's very important. It's something that we might be missing in this talk about the artists and the finances, is they need to see a way how to make a lot of money to do this, right? If they see that how to do this to make a lot of money, they get really involved, because right now they're making a lot of money the old traditional way and so to get them to get to this, they got to see a profit or more profitable use of their time to get involved in what we're talking about, right? In the Web3 space and the NFT space, in accepting crypto, right? And accepting different blockchains that they want to be involved. Some of them, you talk to them about blockchains, they don't know what Ethereum is. They don't know what Bitcoin is. They don't know what Shiba is. They don't know. They've heard about these things. They might, oh yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard of the dog coin or the meme coin, or I've heard of Emerged, but they really don't understand how their music, just like we were talking about Bored Apes and just like we were talking about different arts, how their music could be the same and go viral faster and better and more translucent. So when I talk to these artists and I tell them, they really want to get involved. I'll pass it to Johnny because I see he was he was. Go ahead, Johnny.
I was just gonna piggyback off of the biggest thing I think you said is the change that this is gonna come for the people who make the music, the producers, and that's why we strictly stuck. We noticed everybody diving into this, Sound XYZ, all these companies that are like in these majors co-signing people. We're like, wow, people are really diving into music Web3. And then to me, I sat back, being in the music industry, how passionate I am, how long I've been in it. I was like, they literally don't know. I was like, I give up. These people are raising millions of dollars, and they have no idea what really is about to happen. And I think that's where, right now we might not have the funding and not be the position of where we're at, but we're so confident for what we're going to do. And we're so happy to see all these companies drop all these projects, because I know what we're going to do and what we're going to fix. And we're going to start it at the atomic level of music. We're going to start at the creation. We're going to start it at the conception of music before you leave the studio. We're going to start at the strum of the guitar. We're going to start for the creators. And that's one thing I love that you said is like the producers are really going to be able to revolutionize their music industry with this.
Amazing. Hey, I can't think of a better person. Check. All right, what's happening there? Check. Okay, there we go. I caught it. I can't think of a better person to help us transition over to the meet and greet. Just want William T. Broussard, Music Tech Ventures, to just go ahead and just give a brief little snippet, man, of what we're about to get in the meet and greet. Because we got Nathan Coy. We're going to bring up some other people. We want to thank everybody in the audience. We're getting ready to go off the air. So just some closing comments from William T. Broussard, Music Tech Ventures, real quick, and then we're going off the air and we're going to go into right.
Welcome, everyone. It's a blessing to be here, first and foremost. Anytime you're talking about music, concerts, promotions, I mean, it's like these little hairs on my back stand up. So that's what I love to do. But this network that Brandon and a couple of others have been building for some time now is really flourishing. We're starting to see the fruits of the labor. So just to have you here again is a blessing, and I'm really interested in getting to know a lot more of you. Julio, you said some things as well as Johnny that has resonated just recently. I was in a studio session with some producers, and one of the producers he's already taught on the collegiate level and everything else, but he's furthering his education in the Berklee School of Music. And with Berklee School of Music, they're in this class, it's not just producers. I mean, you have singers that are with Taylor Swift, a lot of big names, backings that are just trying to get ahead. But what resonated was they're all coming back to this one thing. And I thank God because he's been preparing us for this over the past year and a half, over the past 2 years for this transition, because everyone is seeing the exact same thing. The traditional route has changed. Now it's about taking ownership in your music, point blank period, taking ownership in these shows. So with what everyone just said, I mean, it's so true, and I'm actually seeing it now. Julio, I've worked with Jadakiss. I've worked with Cash Money, a bunch of the industries. I'm from Beaumont, Texas, but we're right next to Houston. So, you name it in Houston, I've pretty much done and some things with them. But I am looking forward to really getting to know you fellas and seeing the different approaches that you might be using in the larger markets, the more traveled markets like Miami and such, LA, to see how we can get some of these major artists as well as some of these producers on board. So I'm adamant. Thank you, Brandon, again for that wonderful introduction, man. Benny, I've heard a lot about you. I can't wait to meet you as well, my brother. It looks like you're the youngest brother on the call. I'm not sure, but you look like you're such excited and zeal, man, and that's a wonderful thing, So God bless you all.
Honor, man. We got Trey Lou coming up. Stick around for the meet and greet. We're going off the air, but Benny may be young, but Benny's a boss. Anybody who knows Benny, some of his partners, collaborators, he's one of these guys. Just him taking interest in Web3, music tech, what he's doing is literally changing things. So we're just so honored to have Benny in the mix, Julio from Bricks, Johnny Stevenson, Crypto Loops. We got Nathan Coy, Wartime Leadership, Andrew Schiffman, one of the serious BDs and consultants in Web3, Roy, Future Man Wooten. We got Trey Lou in the mix, some great people in the audience going to stick around for the meet and greet. Benny, tell them where they can find out about that conversation that you're hosting. When is that going to be, and give them, and then drop a link.
Absolutely. So yeah, October 27th. That's 3 Thursdays from now. We've got a panel. So I'm gonna put a link. It's virtual, so everybody can join us. Actually here, I'll put this chat in, but Brandon, if you don't mind helping me share that to everybody that's here on the call, and we'll make sure to put it in YouTube. But yeah, free webinar. We've got Brandon, we've got Joe Van Giri from Digitrax, we've got Jeff Palumbo from iMecca Music Accelerator, talking about, how this technology is changing the landscape. So a lot of similar things that we talked about tonight, and more. So love to have anybody on that's able to make it. It's going to be a really cool time.
Beautiful. Bless you, Benny. We appreciate you. Stick around for the meet and greet. We're going off the air right now. And, Benny just might be that guy who helps Gary Vee buy his jet. We're going off the air, so you had to have the Zoom link, and join us October 27th. Also, we have a link if you want to get in on the More Than a Mastermind. This is the last week for you to get in on that 10-week journey. So make sure you join Johnny, join Benny, join some of the team. We're going on a ride with Claudia 1 Million with the John Maxwell. She's a John Maxwell certified coach that's going through the 15 laws of invaluable growth, 15 invaluable laws of growth with some of the leaders in Web3 and in business, music tech, and more. So stick around for the meet and greet if you're on the Zoom call. If you're not, thank you so much for tuning in on YouTube. Shout out to Liv Charette, the NFT Nashville community, and so many others who are collaborating with us around the world. God bless. Much success. We're going off of YouTube into the meet and greet. Appreciate y'all. To be.